Hello, hello. Welcome back to Let's Talk Ray Bradbury, the show here on Let's Talk Entertainment, where beginning in 2018, I've been undertaking this long-term project to attempt to locate, read, and review each of the roughly 600 short stories written by the late, great Ray Bradbury. It's quite a difficult process, really, because there's no clear definitive list of all of his publications, but I'm doing my best. Today I'm up to story number 313, which is called Promotion from Satellite. This is, of course, from the Collected Stories of Ray Bradbury, a critical edition from 2010, which I've been working my way through in recent months. If you're new to the channel, the way this works, I do a very brief synopsis of what I find in the story, all the sort of plot, character, action, that type of stuff, and then I just do a very brief analysis, some thoughts and things about what it all means. Is it a good story, what I took away from it, and I mainly do this for my own entertainment, but hopefully you find these videos to be enjoyable too. So on to that synopsis for Promotion to Satellite. Pietro Dionetti is a greasy, uneducated laborer of apparently Italian descent, and he's helping to build a rocket along with his friend Nucci, who works with him. Nucci seems to have no apparent ambitions in life, but Pietro is very different. He has a wife, he has 8 kids, and he's determined to become what he calls a big man. And so while they're working on the rocket, he decides, why can't I be one of the people who get to go up? What separates them from me? Besides the apparent lack of education and all this experience and all these things, but somehow he manages to talk his way onto the crew. Soon after liftoff, when they're on their way to the moon, there is a leak in the radioactive system that runs this primitive ship, and they need volunteers. They need a volunteer to go in and try and fix the problem so the rest of the crew can survive. All the laborers step forward. They're all pretty brave, but he's determined that he's going to be the one, although he's told that, you will not come back from this alive. He's even given a gun just in case he wants to kill himself, because the radiation poison should be a very, very terrible way to die. So ultimately, he does it, but he agrees to do it for a promotion. And so the captain of the ship sort of bestows upon him the honorary title of captain himself, knowing, of course, that he's going to die in a few minutes. But he goes into the engine area where this radioactivity is happening, and he does what he's asked to do. But in the process, he is to jettison from the ship out into space. At which point he falls into a permanent orbit around Earth, and this orbit becomes protected by the governments of Earth, and it's sort of declared to be his official gravesite, and he becomes Earth's second satellite after the moon, because this story was written, in fact, before Sputnik. Down on the ground, his family and his buddy Nucci, they stand by a telescope. They all get to look up and see him from below, and the end of this, the end point being is that he wanted to accomplish something great. He wanted to be a big man, and finally he is a big man because he is in fact Earth's first satellite. And the story was written, in fact, in the 40s, so about a decade or more before Sputnik was actually achieved, which is pretty interesting. So Bradbury, like many other science fiction authors, were writing about satellites long before they became reality, but the story is written with all the dialogue in such a way that it's meant to sort of mimic stereotypical Italian-American broken English, and I found this to be mildly annoying. I don't think of it as a racial issue. It's all in good fun. He's not being mean or anything about it, and Italian-Americans, you're tough enough to handle this. It's not a big deal to have a little bit of stereotype. Many authors have done this in the past. It's not Bradbury's finest hour by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not bad. It's all in good fun, and also the story is short enough where it doesn't really stick around long enough to overstay its welcome, because had this been a longer story, this would have got really annoying in a hurry, but it doesn't. Humor aside, I think the story itself speaks mostly to human ambition. I think regardless of our education levels, our ability levels, our experience levels, I think a lot of people have big hopes and dreams, and Pietro was able to virtually will his chance into existence by sort of taking the chance to sort of, demand the promotion and to get put onto this this ship as part of the crew and risk his life. And then when the need is dire, and everybody, all of the workers who are very much like him, I would say, ready to volunteer, he does the same thing, but he's the one who gets to do it. He's the volunteer, and ultimately he gets to become the big man because he was willing to make the ultimate sacrifice more than anyone else. This story was written during World War II, so I very much think about the nature of that war, where you have all these millions of people from many different countries, different walks of life, different education levels, different abilities, a lot of very plain, simple people in many cases from out here in the country where I live to this day, and with limited education, limited experience, limited everything, they were nonetheless called up, and they were willing to do sort of incredible, brave things for other people so that other people might live. And I think that this story very much speaks to that same sort of mood, where it's an idea of, in this case, I don't think they actually say American, but obviously the indication here is that he's supposed to be an Italian-American immigrant. But I think it also speaks to the ambitions and the willingness to work hard of people who immigrate to our country. And I'm really sorry that that way of life is under such attack in this day and age. It's completely not necessary. It's a bad thing. I realize there's questions over legality and all this shit, but all that aside, if you're not splitting the hairs of law and using that as an excuse to be racist, I think that this story really does speak to the importance of immigrant peoples and people who have something to gain, and maybe they've already lost everything that they had to lose. But here's somebody who is willing to risk their life for others, who maybe not even people who see him necessarily as being as big of an asset as he really is to their endeavor. So I think this is a very important message, sort of wrapped all together in sort of a silly shell, as Bradbury often did, but I quite like it. Not one of his great stories, but you can see at this early juncture in his career where he's headed. These stories that I've been reading recently, they're stacked, chronologically, from the earliest to the latest, and you can see very quickly Bradbury's beginning to develop himself closer and closer to that sort of fully formed version of him that many people are more familiar with. All right then, promotion to satellite. Quite a decent little story with a lot to say. Please subscribe to the channel. Next time we'll be looking at the story Chrysalis from 1942, which was not published until 1946. He did write another story called Chrysalis. It's a very different story, not the same story. I previously covered that one, which was a much more contemporary Bradbury story, really. I think it was written in the 90s or early 2000s, actually. But not to be confused with that one, which I already did review. But this is very much a different story, and quite a well-known Bradbury story, actually. Chrysalis from 1942, that's our next story here on Let's Talk Ray Bradbury. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon.